2, 1.
Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
We have a special show lined up for today because we
special limited edition.
A limited edition show because it is just going to be me going over many questions that most people have about real estate. In fact, 5 things as identified by ChatGPT. I asked Chat, hey, what are the 5 questions people want to know from a real estate agent? One of the top 5 things.
Oh, good one.
And so we're going to just go through those one by one.
Let's do it.
And can you guess what the first one was?
5 questions. How much do you charge? Is that one of the questions?
That was 5.
That was 5.
You want to start there? We can do that one.
Sure, yeah. Because a lot of people think, well, if I hire a real estate agent, then that means I'm paying them. And they think, well, I don't want to fork over any money right now, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know how much that is. And because you're hiring somebody, it's like you're hiring an assistant or you're hiring somebody to go help you find a house or help you sell your house. And so they don't understand. And for many of them, maybe they haven't sold a house in a long time, or maybe it's their first house. They're not super clear on how it works.
So there's 2 main expenses people think of or put off having a conversation with the real estate agent. The first is wondering how much the real estate agent is going to charge, right? And then the other is how much is it going to cost me to get my home ready to show? Like, what do I have to do to the house in order to net the most amount of money possible, right?
Right.
So and they're like trying to. Those are 2, in their minds, big expenses, potentially upfront large expenses, and I think that causes people to drag their feet and prolong, listing their home, selling their home. But as far as working with a real estate agent, technically we are independent contractors, so everybody does it a little bit different. But here at the Made for More Realty team, what we do is you never write us a check. We don't charge you anything. We get paid only if the house sells at price and terms that you agree to, and even then you don't write us a check. It comes out of the proceeds of the sale through the closing, through the escrow by the escrow company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, do I have to write a check? No, you don't have to write a check. Now, people are going, obviously, Johnny, I've done this 50 times before. I know I don't have to write a real estate agent a check. But what is the fee you charge? What is common out there? And this is...
Do you get that question a lot? What is your fee?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially people who are trying to compare.
Yeah.
If they haven't met me before or they don't know everything that we provide, they leave because they think all real estate agents are the same. So if all real estate agents are the same, let's say everybody's a Honda Civic, right? If everybody's a white Honda Civic and this white Honda Civic over here is $30,000 and this other Honda Civic over here is $18,000, it's the same car, same mileage, same everything. I'm going to go with the cheaper one.
Right.
Why wouldn't I? But what they don't realize is that not all real estate agents are the same. Not all real estate agents have been doing it the same amount of time, have the same marketing, have the same resources. They're all technically licensed, but they're not all the same. And so when somebody asks me up front, hey, what do you charge? I know that they're just, they don't see the value. They've probably had a bad experience, and they don't see the value in what a good real estate agent can bring to the table. So how I always answer that question, as I say, well, it really depends. We have a flexible commission model. Somewhere between 1% and 4% is typically what we charge. When's a good time for us to hop on a call, go through our strategy, our marketing plan, and figure out something that works best for you.
Right.
So that's how I answer the question. And so I recently did this with a gentleman. He doesn't even want to sell his house. He owns a duplex in, where is it, North Highlands? Mm-hmm. Duplex, owned it forever, very abrasive when I met with him for the first time. And he was, his guards are up. I asked him, well, hey, how long have you owned the property? Because I don't see a sale date for it. He's like, well, why does that matter? I'm just trying to figure out how long you've owned it, what you've done to the property. He was very hesitant to answer any questions. He's like, well, I'm not going to tell you what I owe on it. I don't care how much you owe on it. The house is worth what the house is worth. I'm just trying to figure out, because this context, this was via Zoom. 'Cause he
Okay.
has 2 tenants in there, and he didn't want to disturb the tenants, and he just wanted to meet me first before we took the next step and met the tenants, and I saw the property. And so, this is all via Zoom, and by the end of the presentation, he was like, "Oh my gosh, you offer so many things I've
Right.
never even heard of before. Like, what do you?" And then the conversation turned into, "Well, what do you charge?"
Right.
Right? And then he settled on a fee that, on the outset, I would have thought he would have picked the cheapest option, but he actually chose like the more expensive option.
Sure, because he wants to net the most money, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So that's one question. How much
that's-
do you charge?
And that's what will it cost me? So another good thing, like if you're interviewing agents I'm for this. I like it when other people interview agents because you'll see a couple of things. One, you will see how quickly they respond. So when somebody calls us to, have us out to give them an opinion of value or figure out what we're going to charge them, you get a live human being on the phone. So many people do not get that service. And so if you are trying to give that real estate agent business and they're not answering the phone, how are they going to treat it when somebody's calling them wanting to make an offer on the
Right, good
property?
point. Yeah.
Right. So that's a key point. So interview, see how different people respond, and then also you can kind of see what the different marketing strategy is. But when you're interviewing people, you can ask them about the marketing strategy, see how they respond, but also ask them for a net sheet. And so what I do, these net sheets, it shows you how much you would net from the sale of the property. They're estimated. They're not final because, again, we're just making up numbers. Sure. We don't know how everything's going to be down to the penny, but they tend to be pretty accurate and gives you a ballpark idea, like a budget of what it is it will cost you to sell the house and what it is you will walk away with in your pocket for that next move. And it surprises me how many agents do not do this in the living room. I can provide you with not one net sheet, but I can provide you with 6 net sheets in different price points in 30 seconds. If the internet's slow, it might take a minute, but I can provide you, like if you think, hey, on the high end my house is worth $565, on the low end it's worth $510. That's where I think it's going to sell.
Right.
What's the worst case scenario net sheet going to be? What's the best case scenario? I can give that to you. And then I see that really helps people.
Sure, absolutely, because that's the
clarity.
bottom line. They want to know, how much am I going to net from this, so I can go on to the next stage, whether it's buying another house or moving away or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so if you're curious what a real estate agent charges, make sure you get one of those net sheets. Little bonus tip as far as expenses. We're talking about home sellers right now, but if you are a home buyer and you are talking to different lenders, ask them, hey, give me an estimated closing, like a cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what some lenders will do, this blows my mind that this is even legal. But what some lenders will, because they have to eventually provide it, but they will wait until the last possible moment. They will wait until you are in contract, until they absolutely need it for their file to be compliant. But if you can ask for it up front, it doesn't cost them anything to give it to you. And if you get a breakdown of their fees, you will see exactly what they're charging you and how they got you that lower interest rate. Because what some lenders do is they'll tell you, oh, I can beat that other lender. I'll get you a 0.5% lower interest rate. Just go with me. What they're not telling you is that, yes, they can get you a lower interest rate, but you have to bring money to the table to buy down that rate.
Yeah.
They just omitted that little detail, right? The lender you're currently with might be able to get you a similar rate without buying down the points. There's other ways to do that. And so when you're trying to figure out what will it cost me on the sell side, get a net sheet from an agent. On the buy side, like really figure out what those loan costs are going to be, because most people aren't paying their real estate agent to buy the house. Were you aware of that?
Correct.
Yeah. So when you're selling your house, the seller is paying for both halves of the real estate agent's fee. Yes, it is negotiable. There's not like a standard way, but I'll tell you, out of 1,000 transactions, 999 have been the seller paying for both.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then when that seller then turns around and goes to buy a house, they're not paying a real estate agent fee. So it's fair and equitable.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But
All
that's that.
What's the next question?
Next question is, what should I do before listing my home.
Oh, okay.
Like people are so worried about.
Yeah, I hear that even a lot from people that want to sell their home, but they think, oh my gosh, I have just so much to do, and it's just not ready. My home is not ready to sell.
You nailed it. That's the number one thing I hear. Oh no, don't come over. The house isn't ready. I'm not ready to have the house shown. So when you meet with us, you go to madeformorerealty.com.
Why do they think that?
Because I think they've watched.
They
a lot
know
of
all the
television.
flaws. Yeah, they've watched a lot of HGTV and they've seen how perfect these houses. My house is in nowhere near that kind of condition. So,
and most houses aren't. And so,
right.
What I always tell clients is, hey, don't worry about it. We're not coming by. We're not taking photos. We're not putting anything on the internet. And I'm used to seeing homes way before they're show ready.
Yeah,
and it's good to have me out because sometimes what people will do is they'll make repairs or they'll focus on something that isn't as important as they thought it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so they've spent time, energy, and sometimes money on fixes that weren't necessary.
Right.
And so having a real estate agent out ahead of time to kind of break that down for you.
Like, hey, you should have put your money and energy in this part of the house because that's what's really more important, more valuable.
Yep.
It's going to help sell it.
And in fact, on our website, we even have a free resource for you. So if you go to madeformorerealty.com, you'll see that there's a resource there on how to net up to $50,000 more from the sale of your property. And in that is just a list of things. Some do cost a little bit of money. Many of them are free or low cost. And if just by doing those little tweaks, again, it's a free resource on our website, madeformorerealty.com. You can actually improve that bottom line, get a bigger number on that net sheet. But when we come back, we're going to cover, I think it's the number one question people ask.
I'm telling you, I've heard it time and time again from people who have reached a high level of success. They give credit to working with the right people. So when it comes to selling your home and you want success in doing that, meaning you want to net the most money, you have to work with the right people. And that is my good friend, Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. He's got a team himself full of experts, hardworking professionals that are going to make sure you have all the resources, tools, information to get you the most money for your home. Fast, easy, simple. Maybe that's why they have over 1,000 five-star Google reviews and why they sell more homes in our area than anyone else, and why they were voted #1 real estate team in Roseville for 3 straight years in a row. So what do? You just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Again, Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
It's crazy. October is already on us. This is probably one of my favorite holidays.
Oh, really? Halloween?
Well,
what do you like about?
Not Halloween. I love fall.
Autumn
I
and
love fall.
Okay, listen to this. So I heard someone on the internet was asking this question that they're selling their house, but their kids and their family love Halloween and they love to decorate their house in a Halloween theme with all the cobwebs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is that going to be okay to have open houses and put their house on the market if it's decorated like Halloween, like a spooky house?
So when the clients ask me questions, I always try to rather than tell them, try to show them, right? And so it's not just my opinion, it's something they can go out and verify independently. And so when people ask me questions about how to get your home ready or what should I do, how should I decorate, things like that, I generally tell them, Go visit some model homes in the area because there's a lot of new construction. And go visit some model homes and see how those are decorated. Do they decorate them for Easter? Do they decorate them for Halloween?
What about Christmas? Is it okay to put Christmas lights on them?
So, I mean, it's your home. You're living there, right?
Yeah.
But people who generally enjoy decorating tend to, from a real estate perspective, prefer over decorating.
Right.
Right. And so if you have the ghouls hanging from the trees and the arms coming up out of the grass and the sound machine that screams at you as you're walking up to the door, that's probably, not
going to help sell your house.
That's not going to you want people to be excited and not scared right. when they're walking into what could be.
So there you go. There's your answer. Don't do it.
That would be my recommendation.
Right.
Yeah. There might be somebody out there that absolutely loves it. There's where is it? In Rockland, Christmas Tree Lane. I mean, we lived right next to it at one point.
In Rockland?
Yeah.
Pebble Court?
Yeah, Pebble Creek?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But Now, if you live in a community like that, you should definitely disclose.
Right. I
what
think it's in the
happens-
HOA or something
what
like that.
happens in the-
Like when you buy the house, it comes with decor. I had a friend who lived there, a coworker who lived on that
really?
street. Yeah. When he moved in, the garage was already filled with decorations. It came with the house.
It's like you're ready to go.
And I don't know if it was part of the HOA, but it was part of like,
The
hey,
CCNRs.
this is what we're supposed to do in this community. That's
Yeah.
why you have decorations. Do it.
Yeah.
But also to your point, because I've heard you talk about this before, is in terms of decorating, take away the personal pictures in your house. Take those down. Make it as less personal as possible, right?
Yeah. And sometimes that comes. I never say it. I never phrase it that way because people are like, this is my home. I have memories.
Yeah.
Like my kids had landmark events here, and it's a little, I think, dishonoring maybe to the whole emotional aspect of
Yeah.
it. And so what I always recommend people is, okay, you guys are moving, correct? Right. Where are you going? Why are you going there? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start that process now. You're going to have to pack everything up anyways. You're going to have to pack up the photos. You're going to have to pack up, the little spoons from you traveling all over the world, So
The spoon collection.
The spoon collection.
Have you run into homes that have a spoon collection? That is hilarious.
all kinds
I
of
bet
collections.
your mom has a spoon collection.
She does seem like the type.
Yeah.
But she does not have a spoon collection. The dolls are the creepiest one.
Oh, absolutely.
People who have doll collections, like, I don't know about you, but that's like decorating for Halloween year round
Yeah.
if you have doll collections. There was a gentleman who where was this guy? He was in Citrus Heights who had a Salvation Army doll collection that he was proud of. Every single Salvation Army doll that's come out since the dawn of time he had, and they were all prominently displayed in one of his rooms. And it's like, you know what? Let's
Yeah.
keep those safe. Let's box those up, and so that way they can go to your next home.
One of our neighbors, her husband died, and so she wanted to sell the house, move to a senior community, and she had a ridiculously large Beanie Baby collection.
Beanie Baby. Okay.
And she didn't want to sell it, so she just offered to give them to our kids. And
That's awesome.
is it awesome?
Well, did your kids like them?
No, this is.
Oh.
I mean, they do for a minute, but then what am I supposed to do with all these Beanie Babies? What am I supposed to do, Johnny, with dozens of Beanie Babies? And I know they meant
You
a
can
lot to
sell
her.
them. You can sell them.
Yeah.
You give one to each kid, so you only need 3, and then you sell the other 999.
No, I'm not keeping 9 Beanie Babies. No, absolutely not.
No, I'm saying
The
sell
kid-
them. I'm saying sell them.
Yeah.
Thank you, and then sell them.
Right.
Because here's what I'm hearing is she probably wanted to sell them, but she didn't have the heart to. Like that.
Are Beanie Babies even worth anything anymore?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of I like to be as much of a minimalist as possible. So when my parents, my dad stops by a thrift store and he finds something, oh, well, you'd like this. And I think, Dad, please call me or text me before you buy our kids or anybody anything so I can just give you a heads up.
What's funny is like in houses, like I've seen a lot of different things, but something, and maybe it's just me because I like John Wayne, but something that stands out to me is how like not your stereotypical out in the country house, but houses all over Sacramento have tons of John Wayne stuff. I just think it's so cool because that's something I can then connect with.
Yeah,
them
you
over.
love John Wayne.
I do.
Yeah,
Big fan.
absolutely.
Big fan. But
That's classy. That's,
yeah, your house goes up, but guys, if you want to sell your house for more money,
John
Put some
Wayne
John Wayne stuff in there.
memorabilia in
yeah,
there.
absolutely. But no, the number one question real estate agents are asked, at least when in the selling context, is what is my home worth?
Sure. Yeah, there you go.
What's my home worth? I always want to know what the home is worth.
Do you ask them in return, well, what do you think it's worth?
Oh, absolutely. Every time I ask, I picked that question up from the legendary Tom Daves, and he would always ask in the living room. Actually, I say living room. We're typically at the kitchen table because we have like our packet. Here, let me show you. Our packet is sizable. Like this is just
Sure.
filled with like tons of information that we bring our clients on listing appointments.
It's a lot of trees you're cutting down there, Johnny.
A lot of trees, but you know what? The
Can
good
you
thing
just
is
send me the
you can grow
digital
more.
version of that?
We send them digital ones as well, but in the while we're sitting at the kitchen table is we're going through all of this.
Yeah.
And then like they can grab it, they can hold it, they
Sure.
can make notes. It's kind of hard to do in the digital format, and moving forward, everything else is digital.
And then you ask them,
Yeah. And so I always ask them, hey, so what do you think the home is worth? Like ballpark, approximately. Well, that's why I have you out here. I totally get it. But like, what's your make me move price? And so what I'm trying to do is trying to figure out, what do they think the house is worth? What, not because I'm trying to manipulate the situation. I'm trying to understand their perspective. And if I don't understand, and if they're not going to communicate with me about the perspective, it's kind of hard for me to.
Do they usually say that they think it's worth more than what it actually is?
No,
most of the time?
I mean, yeah, if you had to pick one, it tends to be on the higher side. I wouldn't say it's like they're wrong, but it tends to be on the higher side.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be easier if you just told them so that you don't let them down and tell them, hey, it's worth less than you think it is?
Well, so great question. So how we go about that is, hey, what do you think the home is worth approximately? And then they tell me, okay, great. And then I ask them some other questions, and then we move into, hey,
like you realize this isn't Granite Bay, right?
And then we move into, but someday it might be. You never know. Prices are going up.
That's right.
And so then we go into we start with what's happening in the area, and then we drill down on homes more specific to theirs. So like a local market
educate
update.
them. This isn't just my opinion. This isn't just what I think. This is based on research and data that we've collected to show you what we think the value of your home is.
Absolutely. It's not me. It's not me.
Right.
And so and then at the end of that, typically they're in the ballpark of what the range was. So but yeah, that's the number one question people get. And they're like, well, can't you just tell me over the phone? Aren't you a professional? I was like, yeah, I'm a professional, but you know what?
Can't you just look online? That's what I would say to them.
Yeah, and so that's a great point. Like, why don't you just go with Zillow? Well, they don't. I've heard Zillow's wrong.
Right.
Correct, because Zillow can't smell a cat pee. Right. Zillow hasn't been in the house. They can't see what your neighbors are doing. They can't see what the lawn, front yard, backyard, what the kitchens. How do you clean your bathrooms, or are you the type of person who does not clean your bathrooms?
Right.
Right. And so that's why I need to show up in person. Like, what's your car worth? Right. Well, I can't tell you what like if I called the dealership right now and say, what would you give me for my car? They'd say, bring it in. Let me see what you got, and I'll give you an idea. Same thing with the house. So if you're wondering what your house is worth, though, you can just go to our website, madeformorerealty.com, and there's this little button. It's like, find out what your home is really worth. And then it'll give you a value. It'll also give you like a guaranteed offer. So that way you know, hey, worst case scenario, this is what I could get like an instant offer on my property for. And then if you want to have that number dialed down even tighter, then, I'm happy to come out and meet with you and go over that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And there's no obligation. It's not like you're, especially if you're, there's no money up front. There's nothing that, you're paying for. It's just a free meeting to get educated, right? And if they say no, that's okay, then you're happy to go on your way. And there's been some times where you've met with people, right? And you've said, I don't think this is the right time. And,
yeah.
You're pretty honest.
I talk people out of it. I was recently meeting with a gal. She was going through some hardship, and you could just tell she did not want to sell the house, but she felt like it was the right decision for her. And so we walked through it, and I was like, I don't think selling your house makes the best sense for you, right? Financially or otherwise. Like, I don't know who's pushing you this way, and keep in mind, like, that's how I make a living. That's how I provide for my family, is by helping people buy or sell houses. But I think it's better to be ethical with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell them the truth, not just push them into a solution.
Right.
So yeah, if you want to figure out what your house is worth, or you have any real estate questions, honestly, I hear all the time, hey, I wish I would have reached out to you sooner. Too often people put it off, and they call me when they want to be on the market in like 2 weeks, and they wish they would have reached out sooner because it would have saved them a lot of time and money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we come back after this, we're gonna answer the question: is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market?
All right, so maybe you've seen the YouTube commercials or heard an ad on the radio, or maybe you received a letter in the mail with an offer to buy your home sight unseen. Come on. Do you really believe that? There's only one man, one team, one organization here in the greater Sacramento area that guarantees at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. What does that mean? No time and expense to do those repairs, no open houses, no staging, no organization, just a quick, easy cash offer on your home, at least 3 of them in as-is condition. So what do you do to find out more information and get your offers? Go to Johnny Jennings or just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Once again, just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Is it a buyer's market in the Sacramento region, or is it a seller's market?
Well, I would say with the interest rates coming down, right? We had that announcement from the Fed Reserve. And so interest rates should be dropping like crazy, right? And so I would assume that people are jumping into the market right away and that we are now in a seller's market, right?
I feel like whenever somebody brings the whole interest rates thing up to me, like I am just like the meanest, like that crotchety old guy that, why did you have to go and say that? Why'd you have to go?
Isn't that the whole point
pop my balloon
of bringing down the rates is to
the federal fund rate.
More folks to jump into the market to buy a home?
So
because they've been waiting because interest rates are too high. And now, hallelujah, the interest rates are going to be back down into the 3s and the 4s.
Trump did it. Too late, pal. He forced him to lower the rates. No, here's the reality. The Fed lowered rates twice last year, and rates went up. The federal fund rate dropped, and what the consumer felt was higher interest rates. The Fed did drop rates recently by 0.25%. They're hinting at future.
Sure, they'll do it again by
adjustments.
the end of the year.
Before they dropped the federal fund rate, most recently, interest rates were right about 6.15%, approximately. Okay, now that same metric that used to say 6.15 now says 6.37. So interest rates went up after the federal fund rate dropped.
What's going on? Why is that?
It has to do with the bond market and all this stuff, but the key takeaway is that just because the federal fund rate drops, just because the Fed lowered rates, does not mean the consumer now sees a lower interest rate.
Does the Trump administration understand that?
I mean, eventually...
Do you need to have a meeting with them to let them know, hey, just because you did this doesn't mean that all of a sudden people are going to jump into the housing market because interest rates are going to be lower.
Lowering the federal fund rate basically makes it cheaper for institutional investors to borrow money. It's like banks,
right?
Things like that.
Okay.
But then those banks then have to then loan the money that they borrowed. Massive Ponzi scheme. They have to take the money that they borrowed that the federal government just printed. There's no this currency isn't backed by anything tangible. It's not backed by gold. It's just backed by the faith of the United States government.
Right.
So this money that was just magically made is now the banks have to then sell that money or loan it out to people for a profit. So then their interest rate has to be higher than what the federal fund rate is, and that's how they make, their margins. And anyways, long story short, the interest rates coming down has not moved the market. If I had a dime every time somebody told me I'm going to wait till interest rates drop, these are the two top reasons I hear people say they're going to wait to sell their house, or they're going to wait to make a move. 1, I'm going to wait for interest rates to drop. 2, I'm going to wait for prices to either go down if they're buying or go up if they're selling. And the thing that gets me fired up about this is that go back, get in your time machine, go back to 2021. What were interest rates at their lowest? They were in the high 2s, low 3s. Now, think about, what did the Sacramento region look like in 2021? Was there suddenly far fewer people, or has there been a mass group, people moving in? So there's now more demand for Sacramento housing. Has population exploded in Sacramento since 2021? No. Okay. Well, maybe people have suddenly making a whole lot more money. Maybe we're all suddenly
no, that's not
rich.
Happening.
No. So incomes haven't risen significantly. But yet prices have remained high because people could afford a $600,000 house at a 3% interest rate. They can't afford a $600,000 house at a 6% interest rate. So that leaves us 2 options. 1, prices are either have to soften, or interest rates have to come down.
So how do we get those interest rates down?
Right, guys. Nobody wants the price to soften.
Right.
Nobody wants that. And so, but that's.
I'll take the latter.
What I wish is that there would be So like Rockland does a really good job of this. We had the Rockland city mayor at one of our meetings. She came in person, lovely person. We're actually going to have her on the radio show. And she was talking about how Rockland is working hard to bring good jobs for Rockland people, right? You have Oracle, you have all those dealerships.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that is what I would like to see on a local level. How do we get incomes up? Because if incomes rise, so will the desirability of living here, so will the home prices. But if we're just trying to manipulate it based off interest rates, that's just a temporary solution. So to answer your question, no, the interest rate drop has not helped the market. And here's the other question. I'll just wait till spring. Well, guess what? That's what all your neighbors are doing. I am now bringing with me to every listing appointment, we have this algorithm that shows the likely move people in your neighborhood. The house that I'm going to visit today in Roseville, there's 15 potential upcoming sellers in that neighborhood, that immediate neighborhood in Roseville. So if this person does not choose to list their house and they want to wait till spring, they're going to be up against potentially 15 other people.
But isn't there that many more buyers jumping into the market?
No. So that's the problem. So what we're seeing is that generally the market has shifted out of a seller's market in many areas into a neutral market. So it's not necessarily slanted one way or the other, but I am seeing with increasing frequency a buyer's market. And so if your house is not priced correctly, if it is not priced to what's happening right now, then your house is sitting. So here's the thing. If your real estate agent is like the Made for More team, we have a Bay Area buyer marketing program. We have a special program to boost your property on Zillow. Right? Zillow's traffic is more than any other, the top competitors combined.
Right.
Okay? And so we have something to boost you on Zillow. If they have a proactive marketing plan, we call over 1,000 people every single week trying to find a buyer for your property. We run ads. Your ads are going to be seen over 10,000 times per week, right? And so if you have a real estate agent that's doing that for you and your house isn't selling, it's not because of a lack of exposure. It's because the price. And so what people are hanging on to the price and saying, hey, I'll wait till spring, prices will go up. Okay, how much is going to change in the next 6 months? There's not. Are people suddenly going to be making a whole lot more money? If the interest rate drops 1%, suddenly is everybody able to afford this house now?
But don't you see a challenge in fewer people out there shopping and looking to buy a house? They usually wait until the spring or the summer when they have more free time so they can move and kids are not in school.
There's definitely more movement in the market.
So there's more buyers out there shopping. You have a more opportunity to sell your house because there's more customers available.
There's definitely more movement in the market, but that doesn't mean it's a seller's market in spring. It just means there's more buyers in the market as well. But guess what? There's also more sellers in the market as well.
Yeah.
And so what we typically see is we see inventory surge in late spring, early summer, because now that's when all the sellers are putting their homes on the market. And so if you're looking to sell your house, and here's the thing, is that I firmly believe prices will soften. I think there is not, when you can rent a house
by 10 to 15%,
when you can rent a house for cheaper than what it would cost to own in that same community, you can send your kids to those schools, you can have the quality of life that you want, you're right, and you think prices are going to come down anyways. If it's cheaper to rent than to buy, that's an indication to me that the market needs to adjust.
But because you're right, for a long time, rent was really high. Rent kept going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And it was more expensive to rent than it was to buy a house.
And then at that point, a lot of people justify, you know what makes sense? I will own the home so that way I don't keep having these, it's cheaper for me to own than to rent. Like when you start hearing that again, then I think we're moving into a more healthy of a real estate market. But right now people are like, hey, I'm going to wait till the spring. Okay, well, even if the Fed drops the rate 1%, you're not going to, what you're going to see is you're going to see all these people who are now have 2% and 3% interest rates that are not wanting to move because they don't want to give those up. They're now going to put their house on the market because then they figure, hey, a 4% interest rate makes sense for my family. So you're going to see a flood of people who've been sitting in these homes for the last 7 to 10 years waiting for interest rates to come down. So it's just classic supply and demand. And right now there is limited supply, and that's why interest rates haven't affected prices as much as they have. But what I predict is that you're going to see more houses come to the market in spring than there are right now. So if you wait, it'll cost you.
Is this unique for us here in California, Northern California, than it is the rest of the country? Or are you saying that this is applicable to other states and other markets as well.
It's applicable to other states and other markets. Some places are actually experiencing this far more than we have. So a good way to look at it is if you're...
Like you were in Austin recently.
I was in Austin, yeah. And it's specifically for real estate. Like I was learning from a guy who is very successful in real estate, like a residential real estate company. Because if he's succeeding at a high level, if his customer satisfaction is through the roof, how can I emulate that? How can I learn from somebody rather than reinvent the wheel? And so if you're, no matter where you're at, think about what did your market do during COVID? Did home prices shoot up like crazy? Okay, if they shot up like crazy, then they're probably going to come down more aggressively. Austin shot up like crazy. I had this exact conversation with him. He told me that the average price went from about $375 to $600 at its peak.
Wow, and that's just people leaving California, leaving more stricter areas to move to Texas.
And there was a bit of a tech boom. A lot of companies were moving out there, right? Yeah. And so whatever it was, like his market, like we don't necessarily need to, like, because your situation is going to be different, whoever you are listening, right? If your market shot up, it's probably going to have a more significant, the faster it shot up, the more significant it's going to fall. If you're like in the Midwest where it's like, yeah, prices went up, but then didn't go up crazy,
right,
you're going to see a less aggressive correction. Sacramento, I don't think is going to see as aggressive of a correction.
It stayed more steady during COVID.
Well, it still went up, but not as bad as Austin. Austin went from $375 to $600, and now they're back down to $415. Like that was a huge whiplash effect that Austin is experiencing. And so in Sacramento, it did go up. It went up faster than what incomes I think could support at a regular interest rate. And so now it's going to adjust down.
Yeah.
So that's so long story short, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? We are trending towards neutral market across the board. It just depends on your specific neighborhood, your zip code.
Right. That's what it all comes down to.
Right. Yeah. So again, go to madeformorerealty.com, book an appointment with us. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And we can come out and give you an opinion. Like there's one house in that we had listed. There were 15 houses in her direct community that were on the market. That's not every market, but that is definitely a buyer's market. Right. And so if there's 138 homes in your community and 15 of them are on the market at the same time, that's tough.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, when we come back, we will be talking about guaranteed offers.
I'm telling you, I've heard it time and time again from people who have reached a high level of success. They give credit to working with the right people. So when it comes to selling your home and you want success in doing that, meaning you want to net the most money, you have to work with the right people. And that is my good friend, Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. He's got a team himself full of experts, hardworking professionals that are going to make sure you have all the resources, tools, information to get you the most money for your home. Fast, easy, simple. Maybe that's why they have over 1,000 five-star Google reviews and why they sell more homes in our area than anyone else, and why they were voted #1 real estate team in Roseville for 3 straight years in a row. So what do? You just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Again, Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
You've heard them advertised. You've heard them talked about. A lot of people claim that they offer them. And there's a lot of mystique around these things.
Yeah.
Guaranteed offers. What does that look like? You've probably seen the billboards.
I've probably seen a YouTube ad almost every single day offering a cash offer. I want to buy your home. I want to buy your home. You probably don't think that your home is sellable, but that's not true. I want to buy your home. I hear that on a regular basis.
Yep. And so I kind of get a little fired up about this because what most people don't realize is that those offers are generally for people who are in a desperate situation.
Absolutely. And that's what it seems like it is to me. It's like, hey, you're obviously appealing to people that are desperate, who don't think that their house is just in such disrepair that nobody would ever want to buy their home. But you know what? I want to buy your home.
Well, it's not necessarily that. So for example, we've done guaranteed offers where people were germaphobes, and they just didn't want people in the house.
Sure.
We've done it for law enforcement where they just want complete discretion and privacy. We've done it for people who are going through family situations and just want it like done as quickly as possible, as simply as possible. But oftentimes too, it is like for like the people going through foreclosure, the people whose house doesn't qualify for a traditional loan, right? Because it's in such a state of disrepair, hoarder houses, things like that. So it's not for everybody,
right? How do you differ from those people on the commercials who say, "I want to buy your home"?
The way we differ is we offer a guaranteed offer, okay, and whether it's an instant offer, guaranteed offer, whether it's somebody saying they want to buy your home, it's that person. This isn't us. This is everybody else. What everybody else does is that what they're trying to do is they're trying to buy your house at a discount so they can fix it up and then sell it.
Yeah.
Or what they will do is they will get it under contract. It's called wholesaling. They will get it under contract. So let's say your house is worth, ballpark, what do you think your house is worth?
Oh, I have no idea.
Let's say your house is worth, you're a successful radio personality. So let's say your house is worth $1 million.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So $1 million, that's what it would appraise for. Okay. So $1 million is like aftermarket repair, like in its current, like we're just gonna say $1 million in its current state. If you put a pool in or you did some extra, not a pool, if you fixed up the kitchen, maybe painted the house, maybe did some work, you might be able to stretch that value up to 1.1, 1.2, right? So it's just a regular run of the mill house,
right.
$1 million. Then what an investor is going to do is they have to then buy the house from you, and they're going to pay the fees, so there's expenses there. Then they're going to have to sell the house, right? Because there's expenses there.
Sure.
And then they have to put the money into the home to make it better than brand new. So there's expenses there.
Yeah.
All those expenses come out. You're looking somewhere for your $1 million house, somewhere around $700,000, maybe $780,000, compared to in your pocket, compared to $920,000 with traditional sale.
Yeah.
So that's a significant haircut. Right, but here's where it gets even more dirty: is that some of these people say they're going to buy your house, they have no intention of buying your house.
Really,
they're going to offer $650,000 on a house, like to use the previous example.
Yeah,
and then they're going to get into a contract, say I'll close on this in 15 days, or 20 days, or 30 days, or however long it is. And what they're going to do is it's called wholesaling. That is where they then assign the contract. So they have it locked up for $650,000. They're going to sell it to that investor for $700,000. They will pocket the $50,000, and then the investor will be the one that actually buys your house for $700,000.
Wow, interesting.
And so that's called wholesaling. So when you see a lot of people advertising, it's one of the two. It's either the investor taking down the property themselves, or, and more commonly, it's the wholesaler. And so what the wholesaler is doing is they're buying your house at a discounted rate.
Sure.
Making some money. They're not doing anything to the property. They're just selling the contract.
They don't have to disclose that?
No. Because they don't have to be a licensed realtor to do that. Those are not typically licensed agents that do that. Most real estate companies don't allow you to wholesale. And so, but the thing that makes us different is that when you come to us, I am not personally buying your property. I personally will not double into property. I will not represent both the buyer and the seller. I'll have somebody else in my company do it, but I will not represent you, Matt, the seller, and Matt's buyer. I will not do it because it's like hiring the same divorce attorney for both parties. It just never works out, right? So what we do is we have a network of over 100 investors, vetted people. These aren't wholesalers. And what we will do is we will then syndicate your house out to all of them off market, say, hey, we got this great property. So it's very discreet, very quick, and we can get you typically multiple offers. And so then that's the difference. So then I'm representing you throughout the entire process. I'm not representing myself. A lot of these people you hear on the radio or television, they're representing themselves. They want to buy your house at a discount so then they can make a profit. And there's nothing wrong with profit, but that's the main difference. Those people are representing themselves. I'm representing you, the client. And I'm getting you multiple offers. Those other people, open door. They're only going to tell you what they're willing to pay. They're only going to give you their offer. I can get you open door's offer as well as a host of other properties, a host of other investors, local and institutional. So that way you can have your pick of the litter, so to speak. So that's the difference between our guaranteed offer and just about every other guaranteed offer.
That
on the
makes
market.
sense. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who are not educated and they are vulnerable, and they're watching these ads or getting these letters in the mail. Hey, I want to buy your house right now. And it looks very appealing and they fall for it, and that's a shame. That's a shame that people aren't more educated and understand how the process and the system works.
Yeah.
And that there's people on there taking advantage of that.
There is. And sometimes, I don't want to give everybody like a bad impression, but like there's a distinct difference when I'm getting paid only if your house sells at a price that you agree to versus I'm going to tell you what I think your house is worth. I'm not licensed. And by the way, I'm going to profit off purchasing this home and then I'm going to sell it to somebody else for more money.
Right. And they don't live in the state and they're this big company that lives, who knows if they're even, in the United States doing these things. And so
So investors are fine. Wholesalers really irritate me because I don't think the consumer knows what's happening. It's called a double close is one way that the escrow companies can do it. Most escrow companies will not do it. There's one, maybe two companies I know of off the top of my head that's where all the investors send their deals.
Really?
Because how the double close works is you have the original contract, then you have the assigned version of that contract, transferring that contract to the investor who's actually going to purchase the property.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they basically close on both at the same time, right? Do like a back-to-back deal. So it's just shuffling paperwork around, but essentially, the seller doesn't realize who actually bought the house.
Right.
Or what they really paid for the house.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly surprised it's still allowed in California, but it is. So if you want a guaranteed offer on your home or guaranteed offers, right, from our network of over 100 vetted investors, then go to madeformorerealty.com, and we're happy to go out and meet with you, give you an idea of what your house is realistically worth, and so that way you're not getting taken advantage of by somebody.
Right. And again, like you said, this is for folks that want it to be simple, easy, get it done, right? They don't want to do open houses. Maybe they don't want to do staging or organizing all of their houses. Maybe they've got some repairs on their home that they're not interested in taking the time or spending the money to do.
Yeah.
They just, I know a lot of different people who has a family member that's sick and they have to just be done and they're focused on taking care of that person and they need to just make a quick transition to a different living space.
Yeah.
And they don't have time to do all of this stuff and they just want something simple and easy, but still, not get gouged or taken advantage of. They still want a good offer on their home.
So what I'll say too is that a lot of those people you hear on television or on radio, they have significant budgets, right? And so their margins have to be different than the investor who is going to go in there, buy the property himself, and maybe fix it up with his family and then sell it. Right. So the margins are different. And so, for example, we recently helped this gentleman. It was his first house. He lived in it forever. Then he turned it into a rental, and the renters destroyed it. And he was just done. He'd owned it for like free and clear for like 20 years, and he just didn't want to deal with it. And so we came out, got him a cash offer, closed in 10 days. Easy, right? He was totally happy. Now that property's back on the market. It looks like a shiny penny. It's been totally updated, new kitchen. It's going to go to a family, and they're going to get a great loan, and the house will continue to provide clean, fair housing for people.
Right.
We recently helped somebody else. We're actually in the process. We have an off-market one in the Fab 40s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this gentleman has owned it since the 90s.
Yeah.
Never lived in it. Like very briefly.
Oh, really?
Very briefly lived in it. It's just been sitting there vacant.
Oh, wow. He never rented it out?
Nope. And so he's just, hey, you know
Even
what?
during the holiday season, did he decorate it for Christmas during the? Oh, he's 90 years old.
He's 90, and his wife's about his age, and they're just they have other real estate.
Oh, okay.
And so they're like, you know what? Let's just get it sold.
Bummer.
And so we got him multiple offers, and he's negotiating with one of them, and we'll go from there. And so it's not necessarily, I don't want you to think taking advantage of people. People just want to hit the easy button. They don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the difference between us and other people, is that he had multiple offers. He had multiple options to choose from. He negotiated with different ones, and then he's picking the one that works best for him. And let's say you go the guaranteed option route and you decide, hey, I don't like any of these offers. You know what? I've decided it might be better to go on the market. We can totally do that. So then we just run our program, and get your house, You will have a professional photographer go out there and take cutting edge photos of your home, or depending if it's still kind of messy or if it's in a state of disrepair, maybe we just take a photo of the front of the house, and then we let investors and people know on the MLS, hey, it's a handyman special.
I think that's what people appreciate. They want to be educated, be informed as much as possible, because it takes away that anxiety and that stress. Because when you feel like you don't know what's going on and you're out of the loop, and you're afraid that somebody's taking advantage of you, right? And I think you alleviate a lot of that when you go in there and you educate folks and you give them all these different options and you give them power and choice. I think people appreciate that. That's why working with you, when you educate and provide people with options and freedom, that's what I think they appreciate.
So it comes down to choices. We give you choices, we educate you, and then we let you pick the best decision for you. I'm not tied to the outcome. I sell a house on average every 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm not a good fit for you, or if this situation isn't a good fit for you, that's fine. But if it is, here's all these different programs we can provide you with, and let's pick one that works best for you and your family, and help you make a smooth move.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn more, if you want to have options, if you want to be educated, if you don't want to be pressured into making a decision, because we're a zero pressure company, just go to madeformorerealty.com. That's madeformorerealty.com. We'd be happy to do a pre-planning session with you.
And if you're a home buyer, and you're thinking, well, the interest rates are too high, I don't know if I can afford it. You guys have lots of options and tools that they can take advantage of to get into that first new home.
So many tools. So some of them include, we have probably the largest off-market inventory list in the Sacramento region. If you're just looking at what's on the market, you're shopping leftovers. Right?
Yeah.
So we can get you into homes before anybody else. We also have an algorithm that we came up with that helps us identify motivated sellers. So if you're wanting to get a deal on a home, we can identify what those properties would be. We send you out a deal of the week every single week in your neighborhood. So if you're looking at a specific community, hey, this right now is the best option in that community. We send that to you. So if you want any of those options, again, just go to madeformorerealty.com, reach out. We're happy to help.